How the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment Changed Everything, by African Vulture. Black History Month is a time that we come together as a community to celebrate, honor and appreciate the brave African Americans who have changed the world for a better place, and have put a great impact in everything in history forever we shall never forget. We always celebrate Black History Month all month long in February because of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick, who were born in February and who have worked hard to help to put an end to slavery and to set all slaves off from their chains. Both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass are the main reason why Black History Month is honored and celebrated. Also, there was only a major event that changed everything throughout history forever. It was the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment. The 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment was an infantry that took place during the American Civil War that served in the Union Army. It was also the first infantry that had black African American Union soldiers who served in there. It is hypothesized to be first and earliest sign that lead to blacks gaining more rights, freedom and opportunities. Before we get into the history of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, let's learn about the American Civil War in general. The American Civil War was one of the most defining events in American history, a conflict that shaped up the nation as we know it today. From 1861 to 1865, the United States was torn and separated apart by brutal war between the Union, also known as the Northern States, and the Confederate States, also known as there, consisted of 11 Southern states that seceded from the Union. The 11 Southern states of the Confederate side were Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. The Union, on the other hand, had a total of 25 northern states, and that included a few free states that were bordered between the both Union and Confederate sides. The following northern and free states of the Union side were California, Oregon, Nevada, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas. Now let's get into detail of what their flags and uniforms in both sides of the Civil War looked like. Let's begin with the Union side first. This is what the typical Union soldier would look like back then. Their uniforms were blue, with dark blue coats and light blue trousers. The headgear is called a forage cap, or a kepi. The brass emblem on the forage cap is called an insignia. They were used for identification of what branches of services, such as infantries, cavalries, artilleries, etc. The flag that they used in the Union side was a typical stars and stripes flag that symbolized the USA. In the Confederate side, on the other hand, this was what a typical soldier would like back then. Their uniforms looked similar to the Union soldiers, but theirs was grey-colored. But many of their uniforms were in butternut color, which it was tan or brown color, resulting from natural dyes and wear. Their headgear was similar to the Union's, but some Confederate soldiers wore slouch hats. Due to supply shortages, their uniforms were made of cheaper materials and some Confederate soldiers wore mismatched clothes and uniforms. Their battle flag was an iconic Southern Cross flag, featuring the blue St. Andrew's cross with white stars on the red field. This symbolized the Confederate independence and resistance to the Union. Now, we know the details of their flags and uniforms in both sides. Now let's discuss a few major causes of the Civil War. What were the major causes that led it to the Civil War? First of all, slavery was simply the number one cause, and that primarily led it to the Civil War. The southern states' dependence on slavery for their agricultural economy, while the northern states opposed it morally and politically. Second of all, when Abraham Lincoln was elected as President of the United States, he opposed the expansion of slavery, and the southern states took it as a threat, which led it to their secession from the Union. Third of all and lastly, 11 southern states seceded from the Union to form the Confederate States of America. This really infuriated the northern states, and they viewed as a rebellion that could not be tolerated. These are the three top simple and major causes that lead to the Civil War. As the Civil War raged on, the fight over slavery and equality became even more significant. While African Americans had long been excluded from military service, the need for change. This is where the story of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry begins, a regiment that would not only fight for the Union but also challenge the nation's views on race and equality. It all began on January 1, 1863, when Abraham Lincoln made an Emancipation Proclamation. Not only it declared freedom for all enslaved people in the Confederate-held territories, but it also allowed African Americans to enlist in the Union Army. This set the stage for the creation of the African American regiments. Massachusetts Governor John A. Andrew was a strong abolitionist. He believed that African Americans should have the opportunity to fight for their own freedom and prove their equality. He led the charge to form one of the first all-black regiments in the Union Army. Recruiting African American soldiers for the 54th Regiment began early in 1863. The process was challenging, as many African Americans were hesitant due to past discrimination, doubts of equal treatment, and skepticism about whether they should actually be allowed to fight. Recruitment was not limited to Massachusetts. Men from other northern states and even some from the South joined the regiment. Governor Andrew appointed Robert Gould Shaw, a young white officer from a prominent abolitionist family, as the regiment's commander. Shaw's leadership and his commitment to equality inspired confidence among the recruits. The soldiers were trained at Camp Meigs in Reedville, Massachusetts. They prepared for the battle while also enduring the scrutiny and prejudice of those who doubted their abilities. Despite these challenges, the men of the 54th proved their discipline, resilience and determination. The formation of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry was a significant moment in American history. It marked the first time African American soldiers were officially recognized and allowed to fight in the Civil War, paving the way for over 180,000 black men to serve in their Union Army by the war's end. The attack began at Fort Wagner, North Carolina on July 18, 1863. The soldiers of the 54th had to cross 200 yards of open sand under heavy Confederate gunfire attack to reach the fort. Colonel Shaw led his men to climb over the parapet of the fort. He was then struck by a Confederate gunfire while engaging his troops to move forward. Shaw's death symbolized his unwavering commitment to the cause of equality and freedom. The 54th suffered devastating losses. Despite their heroic efforts, the Union forces failed to capture Fort Wagner during the assault. The battle was a turning point in how African American soldiers were perceived, proving their valor and dedication to the cause and the fight for freedom. The story of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry is more than just a chapter in the Civil War. It's a testament to the courage, resilience and determination of African Americans, fighting for freedom and equality. Despite immense challenges they faced, the 54th proved that African American soldiers were not only capable of fighting but were vital to the Union ultimate victory. Their bravery at Fort Wagner and beyond sent a powerful message that would ripple through history. It paved its way for African Americans to gain the right to vote, access public spaces and pursue opportunities previously denied to them. Without the sacrifice and impact of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry, their progress towards civil rights and equality might have been delayed or even denied altogether. As we reflect on the legacy of the 54th, it's clear that their story continued to inspire. Their efforts helped lay the foundation for the future milestones, such as Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of racial equality, Jackie Robinson breaking barriers in sports, and Barack Obama becoming the first African American president of the United States. The 54th Massachusetts Infantry changed everything. They remind us of the power of standing together against injustice and the importance of honoring those who fought to make freedom and equality a reality for all. This is pretty much explains it, and that's a wrap for this video. Thank you for watching and happy Black History Month.